All right, welcome back. We took another spring break, but we're back. We got a lot to talk about. Got a big quarterback commit. Picked up a running back in the portal. A little Georgia Florida news, and what's ailing baseball. So we got a lot to talk about. Well, we're here. Israel and I are here to talk about it right here on Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Believe Network. Roll the intro. All right, welcome back, man. We took a little spring break. Israel had spring practice. We had some senior exam stuff happening. A lot of things going on for a couple educators in the month of May. If you're an educator, you know what the month of May looks like. If you're an educator and a football coach, it's even more hectic, but we are here. Lots to talk about. Israel, I saw your ring. I saw the picture of y'all's ring, dude. Y'all spared no expense. That thing was pretty sweet.
No, we didn't, man. We finally got them this past Friday, and we're really excited about it. We let the seniors get theirs first because they're really the catalyst of this group. A really, really relentless group, kind of like the 2021 UGA defense. That group that came through. We're really excited. It was a great night to be a Worth County Gator.
Heck yeah, man. I hope I can win a state championship in my next stop just to get a ring just like you. So I'm a little bit jealous. I'm not going to lie. But speaking of rings, we are presented by betonline.ag. It continues to be your number one source for all your basketball info, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds and lines and latest matchup reports for this year's NBA playoffs. Don't forget the NHL playoffs, too. It's the conference final. I think the conference finals are upon us, so that's going to be exciting. So BetOnline is your sports intel headquarters this season, as we have you covered for all your insider sports wagering needs for basketball, MLB, and NHL, golf to UFC and boxing. This is the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and car games available to play right from your home. Whoever plays Caribbean poker, my hat's off to you because I have no idea what's going on in that one, but that's probably available right there on betonline.ag. So get in on the action today. Head to the website, or you can hop on your mobile device to join. Be sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline is where the game starts. You made any bets lately?
I have not, man. We've been so busy with recruiting and spring ball, and those of you who want to bash teachers and stuff, why don't you come try being it? Try being a coach and a teacher at the same time with exams.
In the month of May, yeah.
All this stuff going on, getting ready for graduation. It ain't for the weak, I tell you that.
No, it's not. It's not at all for the weak. And people who think they can do it while getting yelled at by kids because they don't want to do their homework and classwork and don't want to sit down and don't want to stop acting crazy, just come give it a shot. You'll look like me by the end of the year. Frazzled.
Look, man, we were
sunburned.
just talking about I mean, when COVID hit, it was a terrible, terrible thing for COVID to hit, but it really showed how important we as teachers are. And it really showed parents just how bad some of you kids are. Mm-hmm. Like we're not lying when you get those phone calls and those notes sent home. Like your kid is something else. I'll put it like that.
That's the nice way. That is a nice way. So, but much respect to you, Israel. You're going through spring practice. I'm not going through spring practice right now. I have something on the horizon. I'm not going to say it yet until I sign the papers, but I have something on the horizon in the coaching world. So my I guess you call it sabbatical didn't last too long. So that's exciting.
There you go.
I'll be working with tight ends and H-backs when this officially becomes official. So that's neither here nor there. We'll talk about that when that rolls around. But we got a lot on the docket tonight. as we record here on a Tuesday night. You'll see this. Happy Wednesday. Dylan Raiola committed yesterday. Big news for Georgia. I mean, I don't think any of us are shocked. He was believed to be a silent commit, I think, and then he finally just said, "Hey, let's roll." So, number one quarterback for the class of 2024. Very exciting to get him. This makes our quarterback room that much more interesting with this whole competition we got with Carson Beck, who will be gone probably after this season. Then you have Brock Vandegrift, Gunnar Stockton, and then you add Raiola to the mix.
Mm-hmm.
Let's focus on Raiola. What is he like when you watch him? What jumps off the page at you when you watch his film?
Just how big he is. He's 6'3", 210. He's currently, one of the bigger quarterbacks that we have in the room right now. And that's just coming in. So, he's only going to get bigger and stronger, as he comes in. But the savviness of this kid, is absolutely amazing. One thing about the quarterback position, one thing that Stetson brought, to the table is a way to use your legs, being able to make plays, extend plays, things like that. So I think this kid, if you combine him and things that Gunnar Stockton does with his legs, with the arm talent, I mean, this kid is phenomenal. The fact that we were able to get him, considering everything that goes on with recruiting and so many schools that's now just throwing the ball around left and right, for us to get him, on the solid commit. I mean, he was committed for a very, very long time, before they made it public. But, even with a coordinator change and things like that, just shows you, in case y'all were wondering out there, Bulldog Nation, Mike Bobo is a phenomenal recruiter as well. He's a great developer of quarterbacks. And if you saw, like I said, in the spring game, we're not going to skip a beat on offense. So, I mean, the weapons we have out wide coming in, this kid coming in as well to add to the QB room as far as competition, things like that. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that Georgia's going to be a high-profile offense sooner rather than later.
Well, we already kind of are. It's just going to kind of continue. But, yeah, I mean, Mike Bobo was a huge part in landing Dylan Raiola. His dad is friends with Matt Stafford, Sean Chappis, a whole lot of dogs in his family's inner circle. So you had that going on. And then, to come in and say, okay, I'm going to be the next up in this line of great Georgia quarterbacks. And he wanted every part of it. But yeah, I mean, just going back to just watching him on tape, what jumps out to me, not only is his size, he's a big, imposing quarterback and it just jumps off the page physically, but just how comfortably and how just at ease he looks flinging the ball down the field. I mean, he's so fluid in the pocket. He's got such a dynamic arm. The ball just explodes right off of his hand. It just looks so effortless when he makes some of these throws, and it's the accuracy to go along with that is also quite impressive, because when you get these, especially at the high school age, when you get these powerful quarterbacks, sometimes you don't always know where it's going to go. Mm-hmm. But he can drop it in a bucket, and he can make just about every throw, and it's just his overall game just is impressive. And Israel, one of the things that I looked at when he was a lot of some of these throws are him staring down the barrel of a rush. And he doesn't flinch, and he puts it right on him. So, the poise in the pocket, I think, will probably serve him the best in this league.
Absolutely. I mean, Arizona is putting out some phenomenal quarterbacks. You got the Spencer Rattler that came out of Arizona as well. We played Chandler a couple of years ago when I was at Valdosta in the Geico Bowl that they do for high school. Arizona's got some players. I'm surprised that Arizona State, with I think it's Dillingham over at Arizona State, wasn't able to keep him, in state. So for him to decide to come to Georgia, is huge. And kudos to our recruiting staff. Chappis is on deck with that. Stafford and his crew and things like that. When you got a lot of people in your ear, that have your best interests at heart. and you want to play for a program, that is now, that is developing quarterbacks left and right, things like that. So, our recruiting department is head and shoulders above everybody. I was listening to Jake today, he said, he was talking about Kirby, and he said that Kirby took, what the SEC's done and perfected it. And I think he has, and you look at Alabama, and kind of what they've done. Nick Saban set the blueprint, but Kirby Smart is now building the house. You know what I mean? So, it's just an awesome thing to see, Georgia, do the things that we expected them to do for forever, because first of all, got to spend money, with the digital things that we're doing, in recruiting and things like that we're doing, that goes a long way, and when Kirby took over, that was one thing he brought from Alabama, because Alabama was already head and shoulders above everybody. So now you take that blueprint, now you perfect it. And that's what Kirby's done. And with Raiola coming in, now you start to get those high profile receivers, and us getting guys out of high school is huge, because now you're developing those guys from day one as freshmen, and then you keep it rolling instead of having to go to the portal, every semester. Pretty much.
Yeah. And what's going to be great is, the portal is for a supplemental player here, supplemental player there. Just like we have a small hole there, we need to fill, and you bring in those portal guys. But the influx of high schoolers coming in, it just helps build that. Okay, Ladd McConkey, this is his last year. He'll be gone, but that's okay. This guy will step, Jackson Meeks will step up, and then, the guy behind him, and the guy behind him, and the guy behind him. And then you get Lovett and Ra Thomas. They come in, they make their quick contribution, and they get out. And then it's just, the way he manages the roster, I think has been phenomenal.
Absolutely. I mean, high school kids, when this COVID year thing happened, I think it's 2026, after talking to recruiters, 25, 26, when this whole COVID year deal kind of phases out. And once they fix the portal, if they ever decide to fix it, you're going to see a lot more colleges, big time colleges, going, back into high schools and getting high school kids. Because, at the end of the day, like you said, if you get a kid in the portal, he's going to be there for a year, maybe two at most, and if he's unhappy, he's probably going to leave.
Who's going to clear out the portal is Coach Prime. He's going to clear it out because he's got no other choice.
He's got a big commitment today too as well. So he's doing what he has to do as
he knows
as
what
much
he's doing.
Hey man, you've seen Colorado.
He knows what he's doing. Yeah, it's this is the for people to say this wasn't the plan all along is completely ridiculous.
And it's like when Kirby came in. We're still in that recruiting war as well. Now we're starting to get those guys from the Texas and the Arizonas, coming across country. Rob Bowers came all the way from Cali, so you're telling me that USC and UCLA, weren't tantalizing to go to, he comes all the way over and goes to Georgia, and that was during the COVID situation as well. So, it just goes to show you what we're doing at UGA right now is just head and shoulders better than it's ever been, and almost, better than the whole entire nation. Yeah.
Well, it's this commitment has been getting quite the stir. Ryan Wingo, his antennas are up now. He's from St. Louis. He's a 5-star wide receiver, 6'2" target. His antennas are up now. Nye Carr is very, very excited. He's already in the boat from Colquitt. Peyton Woodyard is also very excited. He's a safety from Cali, St. John Bosco. You're getting all kind of reactions from different people.
You're getting them from coast to coast, baby. Coast to coast.
Dude. We nationwide.
Once we start tapping into Michigan and Rhode Island and Boston, it's going to take off.
Well, we're already in Philly, man. So, we're already taking over the state of Pennsylvania. So
absolutely.
I'm good. I'm good with that. I'm definitely good with that. So, just keep your eyes out because this recruiting is going to pick up big time, big time. So, there's going to be some other commits coming down the pike, just in a little bit. So, keep your eyes out. There's a certain, I'm not going to name the name because I don't want to jinx it, but there's a certain receiver at a certain university that we just took down in the Peach Bowl that is now looking towards Athens.
Mm-hmm.
You know who I'm talking about, but I'm not going to say it because I don't want to jinx it. Yeah. So, speaking of the portal.
That happened. Let me tell you something. I see 3P. No doubt. No doubt. 3P.
Well, that would be that. By the time that happened, that would be a 4P because we would already had the 3P.
Ah, that's very true.
So that'd be a 4P.
But
we have to get to 3P to get to the to Dylan to Raiola and his cast of
absolutely
studs.
And then I was reading an article that Anthony Dash, shout out to Dash.
My man Dash.
Having that kid and then watching him during spring and seeing the thing that he's done as well.
Watching him bounce back from the injuries is incredible.
Watching that receiver room work and the talent that is in that receiver room is absolutely, pound for pound, we're deadly on the outside on the perimeter. So bringing a kid like that in and watching Carson do what he's done and able to, accept coaching and push the ball downfield and what we got in the backfield, what we got up front, because Mr. Mims is a man-child, Van Pran, that crew. Mm-hmm. Our offensive side of the ball, is absolutely amazing. And shout out to all the coaches on that side. We already know what the defense is going to do. Kirby has his blueprint on that, but see our offense, still alive and well through this coordinator change is absolutely amazing. And I can't wait for this thing to kick off here in the fall.
Yes, I can't either. And you said backfield. You mentioned the word backfield. That's a good transition here. Lyneth, I think it's Lyneth Whitehead. He hit the portal. He's prospect class of 2020. He's an Athens native. He went on up to Knoxville. Thought he was going to be a Vol for life, VFL, but he's decided that's not right for him. So he's coming back home to Georgia. He played 8 games for the Vols in 2021, recorded 32 carries for 207 yards and a pair of touchdowns. He sustained an upper body injury, a shoulder and had surgery that sidelined him for the entire season last year. So he is looking to play some football. So he brings his injury bug into an already injury-riddled running back room because Branson Robinson had a toe injury in the spring. Kendall Milton had a nice little nagging hamstring, and Dejon Edwards had some stuff going on, minor stuff, but again, it's that annoying nagging stuff. So you can't add too many running backs because it appears that our running backs are going to be dealing with some of these nagging stuff. So it's good to have Lyneth Whitehead.
Absolutely. And I mean, Dale McGee's done such a good job with the running backs. We're pretty much running back now. And you always go back to the blueprint. Alabama had it with that slew of running backs that they had for so many years. And now, we go from, the No-Shans and Thomas Browns, Lumpkin, D-Ware and that crew, just guys that I remember, when I was there. And then you go to Gurley and Keith Marshall. Then you go to Swift and Chubb and Sonny Michel. Now you're getting to the point where it just depends on what day it is. Because you went from Milton, and then you went from McIntosh, and then you went from Dejon Edwards. Now you got Branson Robinson. Then you got this kid moving in as well. So, it's an amazing deal that, one, you can keep these guys happy because we haven't had a running back transfer. And 2, the great coaching that these guys are getting every day, day in and day out. Yeah,
no doubt. No doubt. So I'm excited to see this room eat, man. I want to see Kendall Milton get after it this year. Just want to see him stay healthy too, because he's going to be a nightmare for defensive coordinators around the league.
If you've seen his father, there's no doubt as big he was going to be. And he's such, all these kids, and I say kids, but, meeting them, for the first time, and, you would think that their head would be this big, but they're all great kids, Arian Smith, like I said, I sat with him during our coaching clinic and talked with him. Great kid, just great character guys all around. and, you hate because, we had a little bit of trouble, hit the newspapers the other day, but, outside of things like that, from a totality standpoint, these kids are awesome. And that's what it takes. There's not a lot of me guys in this group. And I think the whole staff does a great job of, making everybody important. What you do is important. Just going to class, sitting up in meetings, things like that, it's building a great culture at Georgia. And if we keep this thing rolling like it's supposed to, I mean, we're pretty much a dynasty now. We're pretty much setting this thing up to, be really, really deadly for a very, very long time.
Very much so. Very much so. It's just kind of we're spoiled right now. And I can't understate that. Like we're in the middle of one of the most incredible runs in college football, especially if we get a three-peat. And with the schedule, the way it's set up, it's looking more and more like that. But, let's jump into a little scheduling deal that I think is interesting. That's going to possibly open the door for something that Kirby's been wanting for a long, long time now, which is Georgia, Florida, due to the Jaguars renovating whatever they're calling that stadium now. It's going to force Georgia, Florida to go home and home for a 2-year cycle before they return back to Jacksonville. And once they go home and home, they may never go back to Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Unless there's some contractual stuff that they have to obligate and it's too big to get out of. But again, these two universities could come together and say, Jacksonville, you can kick rocks. We're going to go home and home now. We're going to go on campus. We're going to host Georgia in the swamp. And Georgia's like, yeah, we're going to host Florida between the hedges. So I'm pumped for it. I haven't seen this since I don't know how old you were, 94, 95, but I was late elementary school. I was in 4th, 5th grade. So I remember this. It was weird seeing it, but I remember Spurrier hanging 55 on us between the hedges, which that wasn't great. But I just remember it like Florida is playing in Athens. This is odd. This is not. This doesn't look right. But I'm all for it, man. I'm hoping this is something that's here to stay. I'll even take the 3-year cycle of home, away, Jacksonville, home, away, Jacksonville. Yeah. I'll even take that. I'll even take that split. I'm good with that.
Yeah, you're always gonna miss it, because it is Jacksonville. And, that's kind of what we've been accustomed to for a very, very long time. I think it's time. I think it's time for it to be home and home. If you think all the big rivalries, the true rivalries are played at each other's stadium. You got LSU versus Alabama. Auburn versus Auburn, Alabama.
Iron Bowl, yeah.
All the big
Florida.
rivalry games. Yeah, all the big rivalry games are played in the home stadium. So having Georgia, Florida, playing home and home is going to be huge. And we're doing renovations at Sanford Stadium, Dooley Field right now. So I mean, it can hold everybody that's going to be there. The money, the revenue that's going to be made, for each school, with the traffic and everything coming in. So I mean, I think it's going to be huge. That game's already big in Jacksonville. So now just imagine how big it's going to be when you bring it to Athens and when you bring it to Gainesville.
Now, all you South Georgia dogs, is that going to upset you guys too much or no?
No, I mean, Gainesville, literally from my house, is 2.5 hours. Like to Ben Hill Stadium is 2.5 hours. So it takes longer to get to Athens.
Yeah.
Than it does here.
Yeah. I remember, driving through to Naples on 75. It's like my landmarks are like, okay, I know I'm halfway when I get to Valdosta because we stay in Valdosta every time we go. Or we stay in like Adel or Valdosta or just somewhere like right in that little corridor. And then we get up the next morning and then we drive the Florida leg, which is, our first major landmark is Gainesville.
Mm-hmm.
Lake City just we just crossed into Florida, but Gainesville's like, okay, we're getting somewhere. Then it's Ocala,
yep.
Then it's Tampa, and then it's Fort Myers. And then we know we're in the home stretch when we hit Fort Myers, but it's a long drive, dude.
Jacksonville, you go left, Gainesville, you just keep going straight. That's all.
Yeah, so it doesn't make a difference for you. So you'll still get that Florida feel. every other year. But like, I know like a lot of people that I knew from South Georgia are like, man, we cannot get rid of this game. This is like our Super Bowl. Like this is the one game we look forward to because it's actually closer to go to Jacksonville than it is to Athens. So I didn't know how big of a factor that would be. I was always kind of curious because like, you hear from a few people and you're just like, okay, well, that's just you. I wonder how, the vast majority of the people that live down in that area would feel about that. But I mean, y'all come to regular home games anyway, so it doesn't matter, does it?
And it's usually the northern Georgia people because they take the St. Simons to Savannah and come down. It's usually those are the ones that complain. But for us, from the Macon down, I mean, it's not really a big deal for us. And it's literally a straight shot. You just keep riding, and you run right into it. And, the stadium, Ben Hill Griffin, is really not that far off the exit. So now that traffic is going to be hell, because you got the exit is right here. Literally the stadium's maybe 4 miles from that stadium, from the stadium. So, don't know where other people can park at. But it's going to be interesting to see how they do it.
I'm going to have to go to the Swamp. I've never been to the Swamp. I'm going to have to go there. I'm going to have to make some SEC trips here, but, we're coaches, so it's kind of hard to get out during the season, but
Absolutely. It is really, really hard. I try to go to one Georgia game a year. And it's usually during my birthday because usually we kind of got a break before we start playoffs. But this year after we played coffee, I went to the Tennessee game. So
that was not a bad one to go to. I might go to the Tennessee game this year. Do you want to come to Knoxville? I might try to work up a trip to Knoxville if you want to come.
I've still got nightmares from that stadium.
A little PTSD. So, all right. Well, before we jump out of here, we're going to go a little bit over time. We're not going to keep it right at 30 minutes, but we're going to go a little over time. But I want to talk baseball for a second. We haven't really talked baseball in a long time because we had draft, we had all kind of stuff, and I want to talk baseball a little bit because we are struggling. All right, pitching is non-existent. Just got our ass handed to us by Missouri. Got swept in Columbus. Who Missouri? If you haven't been paying attention, they're probably the worst team in the conference statistically going into the weekend. Now that's probably flipped with us. Now we're in danger of not making the conference tournament. No pitching. Our hitting's okay, but hitting, as you know, is a very streaky thing to rely on. You can't rely on hitting. The Yankees tried to rely on hitting in the postseason last season, and they ended up getting knocked out early because they couldn't, because Aaron Judge went in a little slump and that wasn't enough. So you can't rely on hitting. If you don't have pitching, whether it's injuries or just people just not being as good as you thought they were, or not developing, or not having good game management with calling pitches, whatever the factor is, Georgia's pitching just isn't there. And of course, it falls on the shoulders of Scott Strickin. Is he on the hot seat, or should he be on the hot seat?
Now he is. I've been a big Coach Strickin fan for a very, very long time. And right now, our recruiting is not matching what we expect from our baseball team, really. We're missing guys. I think it's time for us to take the Portland baseball. We let a kid he plays, I forget where he plays from, but he's from Athens Academy. The kid's batting like over 400, and we let him slip through and go to a JUCO school. It's just things like that. There's a lot of great baseball players that are just in that area of Atlanta, that we're missing. We got a kid here at Lowndes that's going to South Carolina, so we're missing out, and I don't know what it is. Because Georgia has a really good baseball tradition, at the end of the day, but, we got to hit the recruiting trail. That's what we had to do.
Sure.
We had to get some portal kids. Some of the guys that's on the team, we're going to have to pull a Dion. Like, look, cuz this just ain't it. You need to get in the portal yourself because we're going to go get some dogs. And right now pitching is the biggest deal. When you're pitching really, really well, you got a guy, you have confidence in that guy to go out there and get you some strikes, get you some outs. Hitting gets a whole lot easier. But when you're having to manufacture runs and that puts a lot of pressure when you're at the plate. It doesn't go well at all. The odds are definitely not in your favor. They say, you fail more times than not in baseball, but hell, we're failing a lot and at a lot of different places right now. I mean, defense is good. We're not committing a lot of errors. We're not doing that, but we're losing on the mound at the plate right now.
Yeah, we just can't. Our run production is not matching the runs that we're giving up, and not because of errors, just because teams are just hitting the ball. And they're just getting around the bases. I mean, they're hitting it a long way. They're hitting it in gaps. They're hitting it solid. They're barreling up a lot of these baseballs, and you can't have that when you're trying. Like, you get on a run with a really good lineup, like 3, 4, 5 runs should be enough most nights if you're pitching well. Occasionally, you're going to have your pitchers bail you out when the offense is struggling, and occasionally you have to have your bats bail you out when you can't seem to find the plate. But not all the time. Like, one can't be that ratio can't be too far in one direction. Whether it's you have great pitching but you can't hit a lick, or you have zero pitching but you're mashing all the time, but you're losing games 16-12 because you can't keep them out. You can't keep them off the bases. So, and that's what Georgia's doing. Like, the ratio's gotten way too far out of hand. Where when we had a really good stretch of baseball in the middle of the season where it was kind of more even and we were playing more complementary baseball. Now it's just gotten out of hand. So I think it falls on Strickland. Love the guy. I think he's good, but I think he's maxed out. Like, I think he's topped out on what he's able to do. Like, he's not the baseball version of Tom Crean, thank God, but it's just time, man. There's no hard feel. It's just time for him to move on. It's just reached that point where I think we've maximized what he's capable of bringing to the plate, pun intended.
Absolutely. I kind of watched the Tennessee, Kentucky. I think it was this past weekend. I watched that series, and watching that series is what baseball is supposed to be like. It was a pitcher's duel. I think like the first looking game, and like game 3. I mean, it was a whole lot of get you some. I mean, you're seeing 98, from both sides. I mean, they're hitting the ball, they're hitting it in gaps, they're hitting over the fence, and it's just a competitive baseball game. And now when you watch us play, we have spurts. Baseball is not a spurt type deal.
You can't.
You got to have a couple together, just to build confidence within that ball club. So, we were really, really good at the beginning. A lot of confidence was riding high, but somehow or another, I mean, the injury bug hits, and then like you said, you go to your bullpen, and you're like, all right, I think this guy's ready.
Bullpen's been sorry, dude. Like, those guys are. We got to bring the Louis back in, man. We're gonna have to coach prime these guys from the bullpen, man. It's just not working. Whatever it is, it ain't working. I don't know I don't know exactly what it is. I can't pinpoint. It's probably something different every time, but it just ain't working. It's just not working.
Maybe you change your practice. You
change something. Change your change. I don't know. Like, do you wear different underwear? Change a light bulb? Do you like say, okay, these hats are dead. Like, we can't win in these hats. Like, we're gonna have to burn these hats. Do you take a bat and like Bo Jackson it over your thigh? Like, I don't know. I don't know what you do.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at it, every sport right now is like dominating, except for maybe 2. Equestrian, I think, just won the national championship as well, or they were there at least. Tennis is still going. Softball is still rolling, I believe. Golf, our girls' golf team has been absolutely dominant this year. So, I mean, every single sport, And
I think track and field's on the rise. You're starting to see some progress in both basketball programs. So, I mean, baseball's got to get on board here.
Yeah, and football is football. So
yeah,
it's just
repeat, baby. Repeat.
We gotta figure out what's going on. Like I said, I love Coach Strickin. I love what he's done. He came into a very shitty situation, and he has done very well. Fixing it and making do with what he's had. But it's time. Yeah,
it's time. He's maximized it. He's fixed all he can fix. Now it's time to hopefully get the program to a point to where we can say, okay, just hypothetically, hey, head coach at Louisville, Do you want to come to the SEC? We'll offer you money.
Or bring in somebody that can help you do those things. As much baseball that's played in Atlanta, at East Point and all these other Perfect Game, all that stuff, just go there and sit and watch. You know what I mean? And, because you got guys coming in from everywhere, and you just need somebody from a coaching standpoint. I think Coach Stricklin's good, but from a recruiting standpoint, he's got to bring somebody in that's going to help him. And I think that's what we're losing on the recruiting end. I
don't think he's just going to afford himself that luxury, unfortunately. With Josh, I think Josh Brooks is a little less patient. I think he's made that known. He's made that known in a lot of different ways. But I think they've had that conversation.
Oh, yeah. And Kirby's big thing is that, he's about the result. What is the result? And right now we're not getting the results. So now, what is the solution? All right. So how do we fix this? If we can't fix it, then we got to find somebody else to do it.
Yeah, we got to find somebody else who has a good plan that can fix it. So, but we're going to leave it right there for you. We're going to let you fill in the blanks for the rest of the way on that conversation. But man, it's the old adage, time flies when you're having fun, man. It's been fun. It's been fun to be back with you here as we go limping through the month of May as educators and coaches. There's a lot happening. So to all my teachers out there, we salute you. We're with you. We're on your side. You can see how haggard we look, man. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
And you can see it more in my face because I'm sunburned. I also had some pool time today, but I'm a little more sunburned. I'm a little bit more weathered. It just looks like I haven't slept in a while. So, and I probably haven't. But anyway. Welcome to the life of a teacher. Yeah, we could do a whole episode on just teaching.
Absolutely. And the way the kids are like that. Just so you know, that little angel that you see when they're asleep and they just look so wonderful. They're BAD. They're bad. Okay. And
they're putting a demon in their backpack. There's got to be.
You know what I mean? But it's one of those deals where, like with our football players, we try to keep them on the straight and narrow. Really, all the students, really. But when they're athletes, and you see the potential in those people. Our young people are the future, and it's scary sometimes when you see a couple of them. You're like, this is who's going to be working on me one day when I'm in that nursing home, and I hope they don't remember me because it ain't gonna go good. I might have to move. I might have to go to a different city. I can't. I don't know if I can do that. But fortunately, coaches, everybody who worked with the little people, you guys are much appreciated. This is coming from two teachers and coaches ourselves at every level, not high school, but elementary all the way up to college.
We see it too. Your story is our story, and our story is your story. Trust me. The same stuff you see at elementary school, it's slightly different, but you see it at high school. It's no different. No different.
That's all different.
None whatsoever. Okay, so we're going to get out of here. We are the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Believe Network, presented by betonline.ag. If you want a vintage art watch, go to row1brand.com. Type in the promo code DAWGS20 to get your vintage art watch. Be that guy at the party that has the piece of art on your wrist. But we're going to get out of here. We're going to break down the schedule a little bit more as we go in the summer. We're going to have a few more guests. We're working on that now that we're kind of, I don't want to call it sabbatical, but now that we're kind of out of our early May break, which was much needed. And Israel, as long as you don't go snipping internet wires in your garden, I think we'll be okay. It sounds like a story that I would tell somebody that I did. That's something that I do. Like I'll snip the wire. I'll knock over the modem trying to fix it. I'll short something out trying to, it's bad. I'm just not very
trying to do something for my wife for Mother's Day, and I might have hit a wire for 5. Oops.
Your kids were like, "Daddy, where's Mickey? Where's Thomas the
Train?" It just shows you how we are on Wi-Fi these days because my kids were not happy.
Yeah,
they couldn't watch Bluey.
And
I wasn't happy because they couldn't watch Bluey.
Yeah, exactly. Blue is an integral part of your life. It's Mickey Mouse for me, so I understand. But we'll see you back here next time. Back better than ever, of course. We're the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Believe Network. We're going to keep this train rolling as we go into football season. We'll pick up more steam, obviously, but football season will just be one big blur. So we're just gonna wear ourselves out and then take a little winter break and then back at it, and we're just gonna keep this thing going. So be a friend, tell a friend. We want to get to 1,000 subscribers, so go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, hit our social medias right here at Believe in Dogs as well on all social media platforms. But until next time, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Do you believe?